Hello class, welcome to chapter 7, Exception Types, presented by Eric Rance and myself, Nefi Garcia. In this chapter, we're going to talk about exception types and scope, understand compilation errors, understand runtime errors, and understand exception management building functions. Let's begin with compilation errors. These are generally typing errors and they tend to occur when there are lexical errors, forgetting a semicolon, misspelling an identifier, etc. There are three general patterns for error messages, which are the following. Prior line errors, which are point to error on prior statement line. Current line error, which is a point to column of error of or one after. And declaration error, point to any failure in the declaration block. Here on the right, we have an example of an exception scope and routing. How a compilation error goes on several steps, start in the declaration block in identifying a compilation failure, is going down to an execution block, and at the end, throwing in exception. Continuing with compilation errors, here we have a hello world code. We can see that there is an error at line 3, column 1, which means that the semicolon was needed at the end of line 2. And that is the reason that we're getting that error at the end. Moving on to runtime errors, this can happen in the declaration, execution, or exception blocks. Errors from a declaration block are easiest to catch because they are caught first by any local exception block, and then by a continuing block. Errors from a declaration and exception blocks are tougher to catch because only external exception can catch this type of errors. Here we have a runtime error with the when block prototype. In the exception blocks, there are when blocks and they catch errors. And here we can see the structure of the block. Lastly, we have an exception management building functions. These are easier series of predefined exceptions provided by Oracle. And in the CIT, that standard package for debugging of the PL SQL program. This type of errors can be found with the SQL code building function, while the SQLERRM function provides error codes and messages. So here we have an example of two exceptions with an error codes and the descriptions. So these are the type of errors that we'll be getting. And we have here the reference of this chapter. Hope you guys were able to learn this week, and thank you so much for watching.